So today was going to be a very interesting day because one of the biggest publishers from my era of growing up, Acclaim, was essentially coming back. They're doing a big live presentation to showcase the future of Acclaim games. Slapnuts, Jeff Jarrett is somehow involved in this as well, and people got very excited for this. I saw many people online saying, there's going to be a new NBA Jam, Legends of Wrestling, Revolt, new Turok. I remember all the Acclaim games from back in the day, and I tried to tell people I don't think that is going to be the case. I think whenever Acclaim does show some games, they're going to be essentially games that Acclaim is publishing for indie developers. And maybe you need to get your expectations in line, whether this was on various podcasts or, even like Facebook posts and stuff. And well, today we got the Acclaim presentation. It was about 12 minutes long, as you can see here. Let me turn on my webcam so you can see my facial reactions to some of these things. And this was all just a countdown here. And we were getting into the future of Acclaim. And we started out with this voice message from, I guess, the new head of Acclaim on a very bad sounding microphone, and then we got to look at our first game. Now they did, of course, some of the stuff, like, I can understand why people thought some of the classic stuff was coming back, even when you look at this little thing, talking about the past, okay, Shadow Man, NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat 2, you start showing off those things, and then you talk about the future, and the future. Ah, man, you got to remember, like, some of these franchises got their start being published by Acclaim on home consoles, so the nostalgia is very, very high. This was the first game. It's a rhythm puzzle game. I mean, I guess having a rhythm thing is kind of cool to it. It makes it a little bit unique. There's like it's a hacking game. There's different hackers that you can choose from, different paths that open. Okay, sure, why not? There's different upgrades. Beat the grid before it beats you. Okay, interesting way to start out the show. Maybe not how I would have personally started out the show, but hey, maybe this is helping people get that dose of reality that they needed. This game is called Grid Beat. These games are all either coming to PC and console or just console. They did like this TV montage here. When they showed the wrestling, people got crazy in the live stream chat. I was in the live stream chat talking it up with some people, trying to, be hopeful about what was coming. Here's our next game, which is it's kind of an interesting basketball looking game, but like, I don't like this. Like, I feel like Double Dribble looks better than this game does from the perspective of, like, this looks almost like a mobile game to me. The camera needs to be much more zoomed in, but speaking of Double Dribble, I bring up Double Dribble because of the fact that there are like these little cutscenes that happen, like the 3-point stuff with the dunks and stuff, that's very reminiscent of Double Dribble. Now, they say that there's like classic teams and stuff like that, so I'm not sure if there's an NBA license, decades of rosters with 1,000+ players, but it seems like, team names are missing, which kind of reminds me of like, older NFL games like Madden 64 had a player license but not a team license, or maybe it was vice versa or something like that. But like, is there a license? Because some of these characters, the faces do look like players, and unlocking legends and like, are we just kind of skirting around like I mean, that's Charles Barkley, that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that's Michael Jordan. But are they actually in this game, or is it just people who happen to look like them and we're skirting around? Because there is no NBA logo or anything like that. I don't know. I don't hate this because I am a basketball fan, but I do have to kind of question some of the legitimacy of it. And I do wish that like we were more zoomed in and there was a little bit more character detail. Mark Eaton. There was a Mark Eaton cameo. Well, let's get a look at Mark Eaton. I liked him. He was a big son bitch. There he is, Mark Eaton. Mark Eaton to pussy. I wonder if anyone ever called him that. But yeah, interesting looking game. There is no NBA logo. It's called Basketball Classics. It's available now on PC, so you can play it right now, and it's coming to console. This was another game. Looks kind of Earthworm Jim with a bit of like a Rick and Morty sort of aesthetic to it. Yeah, do stuff like that. Looked like Homer Simpson. That was another thing here. Can I say something? I want to show you the entry for this game because I thought like this looked like that looks like a Simpson. And so I was like, did they get a Simpsons game here? But no, it's just stuff much like the basketball game that kind of looks like the Simpsons, but it's not actually the Simpsons. Is it actually NBA play? Like, geez, Louise, where's that? Where's that Simpson-looking fellow there? That big guy. He's a like. Look, that's a Simpson face. That is a Homer Simpson style face. But it's not a Simpsons game. What the hell is that? Like, hold on. I need. Oh wait, I'm getting crazy here. Hold on. Where is it? You saw what I saw. Like, I know you did. All right, it's where it gets a little bit hectic here. But like that green face comes back across, and it looks like a freaking Simpson. Like, I understand. Like, come on, dude. Come on, dude. I wish I could get this right. Like, I need to know when to pause that. They probably didn't want to show it too much. Okay, whatever. You saw the green face going across the screen. And it's like, okay, you know. And then there was this weird game here. It's like a cleaning game where you're a pig. Things might get weird. You got to clean as a pig. This was a game. It was a 2D side scroller. I don't know. I guess the art style is kind of interesting. The frame rate doesn't look super clean, but you know, maybe with some work. It's called Talaka. There was this game. This looks kind of zany and crazy. All right. Then there was this game. You know, it's a 2D game. We've seen a lot of games like this. Looks all right. The Prisoning, Fletcher's Quest. Got a wide variety of characters here. A little gnome, a little fat pink-haired chick, a little dinosaur, alligator, some bitch. And then this actually looks kind of neat. This looks kind of like Trick Style. And many people in the chat were like, "Oh, word! It's a new Trick Style game." But no, it's not a new Trick Style game, but Trick Style was a game that Acclaim published, which of course was a hoverboard game. This is a snowboarding game. I thought this was probably the most interesting game of the show. Hyper Yuki, I believe it was called. Something or another. Let me see here. It's going to show it. Hyper Yuki, I was right. Snowboard Syndicate. You know, there's some potential with that. And interestingly enough, though, if you look, there was no mention of console on this one, even though all the other ones said console. It said just PC and Steam. I hope that's not the case. PC, Steam, Acclaim logo. And then there was this final game here. It looked kind of neat, you know. The Messenger, Cyber Shadow, you know, Dead Cells with a ninja. Probably roguelike elements. You could see like the damage meters and stuff. Oh, look, you got a universe. It's got perks because you die. And this was the final game. And then they showed a little sizzle reel. And then that was it. Now, as someone who knew exactly what this presentation was going to be, I was not necessarily surprised by this. However, there were quite a few people in the chat that were indeed surprised by this. And I don't know, maybe I was a bit hopeful that they got something involving, you know, a classic game or a classic franchise or something like that, instead of what I initially thought this was going to be, which was just a collection of indie games that you probably haven't heard of before that Acclaim is now publishing. And when you're using that Acclaim name, you know, there is something that's attached to it, something very strong, and that is nostalgia. a 20-year-old doesn't give a fuck about Acclaim. They don't know what Acclaim is. When you're talking about Acclaim, you're doing mid 30s and up in order to kind of gravitate people towards that brand. And if you're not really doing anything for those people, it's kind of like, well, why even use the Acclaim name? Like, I get it because you got this buzz, you got this notoriety going into this event. But if the products are not what people that grew up with Acclaim or people that have fond memories of Acclaim, if it's not kind of in line with what they were hoping for, is it really worth, that initial burst of coverage and stuff like that? I don't know. I think some of these games can be successful. I think some of these games probably will be good, but it just doesn't feel like Acclaim. And I understand they're trying to make like a new Acclaim, but it's like, at what cost? Is it really worth trying to reinvest in the Acclaim brand, which was, kind of rocky to say the least, and, potentially alienate the older audience who would be interested in that name in order to, get a new audience? I don't know, but I'm not surprised by any of this because I knew that this was what it was going to be. Let me know in the comment section down below, though. What did you think of this event? And if you didn't watch it, if this is your first time seeing the games, what games interested you? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to hit subscribe here on the second channel for more content. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.